And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Man Podcast. My name is Rory Paquette, your host. You folks know that by now. After 160 plus episodes, I think you know who I am. And I certainly know who you are, what you're looking for, and why you're listening. And we've got a good one for you today. One of the things we do here on Power Man, folks, is we try very hard to find men who have had to overcome, who have had, some not the easiest road, who have had to overcome some adversity in their lives, and who have found a way to triumph. And that's one of the guys we have on today. So before I introduce my guest, let me just start by saying thank you to everybody for listening. We did get all of our awesome, Buzzsprout podcast numbers for the year, and we had a 37% increase from last year, and we were downloaded in over 40 countries. So that's a really, really, really great accomplishment, and that is all because of you folks. It's all the messages that you send. It's all of the social media interaction. It's you folks listening. It's you folks sharing the episodes every time we put them out. We would not be here if it wasn't for you. And that's why we do the show, because it's for you. So thank you so much for all your support. And I'm looking forward to a fantastic 2025 as we move into it. So um, let me get one thing out of the way. If you're a friend of the program, and I bet you are, then you know what I'm drinking. That's right. It's Freedom Hill Coffee. Check them out at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. They do all the right things for all the right reasons. Deep, dark, rich, bold, beautiful. Just like my wife. It's a fantastic cup of Joe. You will love it. They uh, they do good things for veterans, and that's why we support them. So look them up. Tell them Power Man sent you. You will not be unhappy. Let me get one more sip of this before I dive in with this guy. He looks very serious. All right, here we go. I have to applaud this guest because he might be the only person in the history of the show ever to show up in a full suit. And I love it. I think he looks fantastic. So you guys who are on video are going to get to see that he's all decked out and ready for business. Please help me welcome to the program CEO of Confidential Consulting and in partnership with 10th Place Capital. Please welcome TJ Freeze. How you doing, TJ?
Good, Rory. How you doing?
I'm wonderful, man. If I was any better, I'd be twins.
I feel that. I feel that.
I bet you do. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I appreciate you being on with me today. You and I have been talking for a while, trying to get our schedules right, and I appreciate your patience while I did all that. Recovering
Of
from
course.
that surgery that I had has been a little harder than I thought it was going to be, but
What kind of
you,
surgery was that again?
it was a thoracotomy,
Oh,
which they basically just cut you right in the middle and rip
yeah.
everything out. It's really, really
Yeah.
rough. Well, we're not going to talk about that again today because my audience has heard so much about my surgery at this point. They're like, "Oh
Yeah.
God, this again." I don't want to hear about you.
Again.
This guy with his lungs, jeez. But yeah, it was just a lot tougher. I'd hit a day and be like, "Oh man, I'm ready. I got interview scheduled," and then,
You're
man,
the next day.
I mean, really, and then you can't take a breath, and you're like, "Wow,
Yep.
I can't really podcast right now." So I
Got shred skin tomorrow.
appreciate your patience, man, as we
Yeah, no
we got all
problem.
this together. But
No problem.
you've got quite a story, and I want to give you a chance to tell it to folks. Let's go back and start with obviously who you are, what you're about, and kind of what you've been through.
Okay, sounds good. So actually, before we start, I want to let the audience know that it's not just top half decked out. Like I've actually got the pants on too, so it's not just, not just top half.
This
Um,
isn't typical Zoom call attire. You're not wearing like shorts or anything and
no,
sandals.
exactly. It's not boxers underneath. It's the full regalia.
All
So
right.
anyway, so I'm 29 years old. I'm a currently employed as a firefighter paramedic here in my home state of Ohio. Started that in 2019, and before that, I was a 911 dispatcher for 3 years from 2016 to 2019. And before that, I was a volunteer firefighter in my hometown of Christiansburg, here in Ohio, really small town, like 500 people. Everyone knows everyone. So kind of started from the very, very beginning to where I am now. Um, Once I graduated high school, that's when I first got into the fire service. A lot of my friends were on the volunteer fire department, and I really didn't really know what it was about. And we'd be playing at my house or something, or I'd be over there at their house playing, and a call would come out and they would just drop everything and get in their car or sometimes their bicycle and go to the firehouse to to respond. And I was like, I want to do that. That's really really cool. So talked to the chief, got on as a well, no, I wasn't certified or anything as anything at that time. Um, about a month later or so, the state of Ohio actually put on a firefighter level 1 class, which is like your first basic level into the fire service. So I got my level 1 certification for free. Um,
Cool.
then a couple months later, probably 3 or 4 months later, I enrolled in a level 2 class, which is just another level above firefighter level 1. That was reimbursed, or no, I'm sorry, that was paid for. Yeah, that was paid for by that my home department. Uh, got my certification in that, and I got into dispatching to kind of pay the like I knew that's not what I wanted to do full time and not what I wanted to retire from. So I knew I wanted to be an EMT paramedic. So I got into dispatching basically to have a full-time job with benefits to pay the bills and pay for EMT school.
Sure.
So I got employed at Xenia Green Central Communications in Greene County, Ohio. Was there from 2016 to 2019, as I mentioned. And while I was there for a year. Then I went to EMT school. Um, and luckily, that program was actually paid for by another department that I got on while I was working in dispatch. Got my certification in 2019 and left dispatch very, very quickly because at that point I was on night shift, 12 hours a night on night shift.
Oh,
And yeah, I mean, while I was single and still living at home at that time, because there was no reason for me to move out. No, I was single, wasn't seeing anyone, it wasn't even thinking about starting a family, so there was no reason for me to move out. And night shift at that point was great. And at the time, 2016, well, 2017, by the time I got on nights, I was in the $25 an hour range and in 2017, that was pretty fantastic.
yeah, that's not bad. Right.
So, night shift wasn't terrible at that point. Did a lot of 3 a.m. Walmart shopping when no one was there. Got my shopping done in about 10 minutes. Um, but obviously it has drawbacks. I was asleep from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Um, seven seven days out of 14 because the dispatch works a alternating schedule. You'll work 2 days on, 2 days off, and then you'll have the weekend. You'll work the weekend, but the next week you only work Wednesday and Thursday. So you have every other week you have 5 days off basically.
Okay.
So it wasn't terrible, but once I met my now wife and that we wanted to start a family, night shift just wasn't going to be sustainable, especially because she was on nights at that point as well.
Mm.
Um, so got my EMT certification in 2019. Left dispatch to get on the fire department that I'm on right now. Finally got on a. We work 24 hours, but I'm still like getting up at good at getting up in the morning instead of going to sleep in the morning. Um, got my paramedic certification last July, and that's the highest the highest emergency medicine certification you can hold. And I've been working as that ever since. So the problem is that it just wasn't paying the bills. Still, I mean, it's still not. Most firefighters, even career ones, I'm part-time, but even a lot of career guys and women have to work at multiple departments or have side jobs because the fire service just doesn't pay enough unless you're in a really, really, really high income area, high revenue area. Um, so I decided to start my own business and I started in real estate. I started searching up wholesaling, found out that just kind of wasn't really my cup of tea. So then I got into researching house flipping, and that sounded like the meat, the kind of golden ticket out of the 9 to 5. I know I'm not a 9 to 5 employee, but out of the first step into entrepreneurship. So spent about 6 months actually doing a research on house flipping, the entire process, every single step, what all's involved in every single step. And about after 6 months of research, I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was, you know what, I'm ready to go. I'm pumped, ready to make, however much money it was going to be, six figures easily. So during my research of house flipping, I learned about these things called private money lenders. And from what I understood, and for what multiple people have told me and throughout my own research, private money lenders are basically high income, high net worth individuals. They're not like big companies, they're not big banks, nothing like that. They're just people, doctors, lawyers, people high income, high wealth that want to use their spare money to make money. Basically, the wealthy mindset. So I didn't know what the rules were when it came to private money lenders. Because there's hard money lenders and there's private money lenders. The hard money lenders are the ones that actually have companies, and the private money lenders are the individuals. Hard money lenders have their own set of requirements and rules and ROI, that kind of stuff. Private money lenders were a whole different deal. I knew that from the get-go. So I joined a few Facebook groups looking for funding for real estate deals, and I saw a guy that was advertising a 100% financing, which is very, very rare in real estate. Most people or most lenders will do 90% of the entire project cost, and you have to come in with the remaining 10. Um, but I saw an ad from someone that was doing or offering 100% financing at a 5% interest rate. And if for anyone in real estate, they know that is astronomically low. And I my red flag was kind of up, but I'm like, you know what? I don't know enough about private money lenders. This could be legit, just might be a guy wanting to, help real estate investors. So I emailed him. We emailed back and forth, and the long story short, from that interaction, I subsequently learned that he was definitely not a lender. He was probably not even from this country, and he ended up scamming me out of about $12,000.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So I I told and after I realized what had happened, I emailed him. I was like, "Hey, I know this isn't legit." Uh, and basically, I gave him the chance to send it back. I knew he wasn't going to, but I said I won't attempt litigation if you send it back. Didn't hear back from him. Took the L, moved on. I
That's a
knew
pretty
I
big
wanted.
L. I mean,
It's a huge L. It was a very
especially when
expensive
you're
lesson.
trying to build a life and everything else.
Yep, exactly. It was a very, very expensive lesson, but one well learned, but hard learned, but very well learned. So I knew I wanted to stick with real estate. I didn't want to let, one bad experience deter me from, potentially being financially free. So I kept going, and I found another person who was advertising basically the same thing, but I did my due diligence on this one, and I actually found his company, like his company on the Georgia is where he was at, well, where he was out of. I found the company on the Georgia Secretary of State website. I found the company on Dun and Bradstreet, which is basically like a business credit um, monitoring system, if I'm understanding it correctly. Basically, if your business is on Dun and Bradstreet, it's legit as long as someone's not spoofing it, which is what this guy ended up doing. He was spoofing a legitimate business. He was advertising as that legitimate business, and he scammed me out of 2 grand. So
Man,
in
twice. So twice this
twice,
happened to you.
twice, yeah. The first one was a lack of knowledge and a lack of due diligence. But the second one was the guy was just good. I like there's no way around it. He was just good, a
So
good scammer.
the second guy, the problem is that he gave you the company name and everything else. He was scamming you that he was part of a company he wasn't part of. The company itself was real. He just wasn't.
Correct.
That's got to be
Yep.
tough to discern.
Yeah, it was, and the guy had a like an Arabic kind of Middle Eastern name in his email signature. So in full disclosure, I was like, well, if I call the dude, what are the odds that I'm actually, it sounds terrible, but what are the odds I'm going to be able to understand him? So um, I just kind of the phone number that was in his email signature was legit. I did try calling it and it went to a voicemail, but it wasn't like a, this number has been disconnected or no longer in service or anything like that. His website was legit on his business signature. Everything was legit. He was just pretending to be that business owner. Um,
Did you go through and report either of these incidents
oh yeah.
to
Oh
any
yeah.
the law enforcement type thing? And if
Yep.
so, how did that go and what came of it, if anything?
Nothing came of it. I let them the first guy I couldn't actually tell where he was from because in hindsight now, he claimed to be out of Ohio, but his phone number and his email signature was out of like Maryland or something
Hmm.
like that.
Okay.
So that didn't really go anywhere. The second one, I actually got a hold of the real owner of the business that was being spoofed. So I actually got a hold of the actual owner and I gave him the information, the scammer's information, and he actually went ahead and went to his state and the attorney general and reported it. I haven't followed up with him. I doubt anything came of it, but all in all, twice, I think in a matter of 2 months, probably. 14.5 is I think the total amount that I
No,
was scammed for.
I'm just gonna say,
So
if did you, and don't take this the wrong way, but did you have that money to lose, or was that like, rent and stuff that you were sort of, gambling with?
it wasn't like all my expenses were paid. This was, I want to say disposable because I did have to pull it off of a credit card,
Hmm.
but it was, I could afford to lose it. I
Right. I
wasn't
mean,
like,
not that anybody can afford to lose,
right,
14 grand.
right. Yeah, but
But
it wasn't like I wasn't gonna miss a mortgage payment or a car payment or anything like that because of that.
okay. So at least you're
Um,
in a position like that
yeah,
to be able to come
which
back
was,
from it.
yeah, thank God for that because
Right.
it definitely could have went five different ways and a lot of them, all of them would have been worse than the situation I'm in right now.
So,
Um,
I mean, you get scammed twice doing this stuff. What is in your mind and your heart that says keep going?
basically just the drive and the motivation to give myself and my family the best, absolute best life that I could. Because growing up, um, my parents are business owners, but they have a small machining business, precision machining business. They are grossing probably 750,000 every year, but that doesn't include like, all their overhead, paying their employees, their rent for the building, all that stuff. Um, and even with them being business owners, there was a lot of times that I remember as a kid, we'd be going at like a grocery store or we'd be out somewhere, and I was like, "Hey, mom, can I get that that video game or can I get this? Can I get that?" And my mom was like, "Sorry, the shop was a little slow this month or this week. We can't afford it right now."
Sure. Yeah.
And a lot of my friends, their parents told them the same thing when they would go out, and I wanted to put myself in this position where I would never ever have to say that to my kid. It would either be an automatic yes or it would be a no purely as like a teaching moment for them. I never want to say no, we can't afford it.
Right.
Um,
And I
it was
love
the
the
drive.
motivation. You know,
Exactly.
I get that. I get the motivation and the drive to want to be able to provide better. You didn't have any experience or background in real estate at this point, other than just what you had, recently picked up. Am I
Yep, the
right
six
with
months
that?
of research is all I had.
And that's it. So you were new to the business still.
Very.
Most people, if they get into a new business and they get scammed twice, they're going to be like, "Well, I'm done. I'm done with
I'm
this."
done.
What
Yep.
made you stay with real estate? Just out of curiosity, what made you stay with real estate in particular? What was saying to you, this is the thing that's going to hit?
So after the first time, I I now I knew the red flags to look for. I knew what was if it's too good to be true, it is.
Hmm.
I had to obviously learn that the hard way. Um, so after the first time, the drive was still there to do real estate. Because I knew the profits were there, the profit margins were there, the process was relatively simple. It's involved, but the process is simple. Um, but the second time I got scammed, that was when I took a detour away from real estate. I still kind of wanted to do it, but instead of going to other people for money, I wanted to raise my own business capital, not personal funds. So after I got scammed the second time, I actually put an ad on Facebook on I can't remember if I put a post on my personal or one of the Facebook groups I joined. But I put out a post looking for a capital raiser, which is basically someone who goes out and gets capital for your business,
Hmm.
and then a lead generation specialist, manager, however you want to call it, to find me the deals, because all the deals that I was finding, the profit margins just weren't there, or the seller was asking for an astronomical amount of money for a rundown house. Um, so after I put that post out, my now business partner is the only one who replied to that message or that post and said, I do both. I think I can help you." So, and already after being scammed twice, I went in very, very hesitant because
I can imagine.
yeah, because I mean her Facebook picture was a generic picture of a person getting on a private jet. I was like, all right, what's going
Even
on
worse,
here?
right? That
Yeah,
just sort of
exactly.
screams like, setup. Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
She had her Facebook has like 50 friends or something like that. Very, very minimal posts. But the thing that kind of set me at ease a little bit, I went through some of her posts and in her recent posts and a lot of her recent history, and people were actually like individuals, not clearly not scammers, were reaching out to her personally and wishing her, like happy birthday and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that's you usually don't see that on a scammer's Facebook.
Sure.
This could be legit. So I messaged her and she told me about the business that she was running at the time, before we made what I will talk about shortly. And I'm not lying to you, Rory. I peppered her with question after question after question, just wanted to make sure this was legit. And I literally asked her for every single piece of information that I could to be able to do my due diligence on her company. I found it. She's out of Florida. I found her company. I found her Facebook. I found her website. And we had two video calls where I could actually like see her, face to face. That's when I knew like this is clearly, this is obviously legit. Scammers don't ever get on video and call with you ever.
Right. They never let you see their face. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Exactly. If they even answer a phone call at all, they're definitely not gonna let you see their face.
Right.
Um, so found out that she was legit, found her what she does. It really interested me. And then after 4 or 5 months of going back and forth with her, we decided to create our own business. Because she was just a um, financial expert kind of. She ran her own business, but I don't want to say she worked for someone else, but she basically did half of what we do right now. Um, and we talked for 3 or 4 months, and eventually we came to an agreement to bring our two individual companies together, not under the same name, but together to accomplish our common goal. And the product of our conversations is now a business that helps new business owners with a LLC or more. It can be incorporated or enterprise or anything like that. As long as they're aged 4 months, if you have a business checking account and an EIN, we can we can work with you. We will guarantee that client at least $100,000 and 0% business funding in 60 days or less. And our company, by doing this, is projected to do almost gross, almost eight figures in the first 12 months.
Not bad. Not bad. That's a heck of a comeback from losing 14 grand getting scammed.
Yeah, it is.
So congratulations on that. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the new company and the new venture.
Absolutely.
You told me about a lot of this stuff, and
Mhm.
the you work with entrepreneurs primarily. Then, I mean,
Mhm.
what's the we do a lot of work with guys who are working on side hustles, trying to start their own things, their own podcasts, their own businesses of some kind, especially online, things like that in that space. What what type of entrepreneur is the kind of guy who's should be looking to give you a call and see what you can offer 'em?
Any of them. It doesn't matter your industry. It doesn't matter. The only requirements we have, and they're not even our requirements. They're bank requirements. Is that LLC or your business, whatever it is. We can work with sole proprietors. It's a little harder because banks don't really like them, but there are ways around it. But as long as your business has been in business for at least 4 months, you've got that business checking account, preferably with a little bit in it. Doesn't have to, but it's preferable. And you have your EIN number. We can work with you. Industry does not matter at all. Credit score doesn't matter because that's one of our first step. We will repair the client's personal credit, and we remove literally every single negative remark off their credit report. Inquiries, late payments, collections, bankruptcies, you name it. If it's negative, we remove it.
Now, when I first heard this, of course, one of my first questions, I'm sure everybody at home's thinking so what's the upfront cost? What's the fee? What's the catch to the person who's thinking about, starting their own business or has had their own business for a little while because you want 4 months. Someone's been around for a little while, wants to take that next step, wants to invest in it. What's the catch? What's the investment? What's the fee? What's up front? You know what I mean? How's that work?
hmm So, one of the things that is unique about our process is that we require nothing up front. There's no retainer, there's no percentage up front, anything like that. Nothing upfront at all, no upfront cost to the client. The only thing that has been well, I don't even say that has been driving people away because we haven't had anyone turn us down yet. We've had people say that we're not ready to proceed yet just because we have some other things we need to put in place, but we haven't had anyone say, no, I don't want to do this. But the only thing that I would say clients are hesitant about is that we is our commission or our fee, and it's $20,000, but everything is on the back end. The client doesn't pay us a dime until we get them that minimum of $100,000 in funding, and we usually get more. 100,000 is just like that threshold of that's what is guaranteed. But my partner's clients in the past using this same structure, the same method, we're seeing an average of 150,000, and that's all 0% for up to 12 months. So the only catch I would say is it is expensive, but it's kind of a cost benefit analysis at that point.
Okay. So it's for people who really need the cash but don't mind paying to get it.
Yep, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
All right. I mean, there's a market for that for sure.
hmm
Okay. So the fee, commission structure, so to speak, is wrapped into the loan, is what it sounds like,
Correct.
right?
I mean, people they can pay it with personal funds after they get the funding if they want to, if they have that disposable. Usually, what we tell them to do or what we advise them to do is use one of the because the funding we get them is through credit cards, business credit cards. So we usually advise them just to use one of those credit cards to pay us because it's 0% for the first 6 to 12 months.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. All right. So you did you're a firefighter, a paramedic, you're in real estate, you're flipping, you're getting scammed trying to do your own thing. What makes you want to pivot into the financial services area, as a provider, in terms of what you're doing? What was your calling to come into this kind of thing to help other business owners?
the fact that it's a service that I didn't know about until because I had used a company like this prior, but they wanted upfront fees and they wanted a percentage on the back end on top of you know whatever I put down up front. Um, they wanted that initially. Um, it's it, I wanted to create a system that would give the clients the best, bang for their buck, their best ROI. Because we're not the only company doing this, but our structure is extremely unique. I haven't heard of anyone using our specific commission structure, and that is a service that I wish I would have had when I first got into entrepreneurship because I had researched funding companies. Most of them want, either the entire thing up front or they want a certain retainer, usually between 1,000 to 1,500, and then they'll take 10 to 12% is usually what I've seen. Some are lower, but common is 10 to 12% of whatever they get you on the back end. So I wanted to be able to give people that were in my position at one point an opportunity that I never had.
Okay, cool. Now you talk about like the minimum loans and things like that. Do you go below 100,000 on the loans, or is that a minimum?
The 100,000 is the minimum. We've had people come in and say we only need, 35, 40, 50, whatever it is. We're like, well, first of all, if we're guaranteeing you 100,000, if that's our minimum guarantee, why wouldn't you take it? Because the more capital you have, the potentially better you can do, especially if you don't plan on using it all, especially if you have a good reserve. But um, if you only need 35 and we're charging you 20, you're only going to get 15 on the back end. So at minimum, you're going to need, if you need 35, at minimum, we would need to get you at least 55, but our guarantee is 100, so why not take it?
I see. All right. You also, I mean, I would imagine you also have to keep that percentage of the loan under usury, right?
Technically, no, because your business, the great thing about business cards is that business card utilization, business card, like even if you have a late payment on your business card, nothing you do on your business credit cards reflects on your personal credit at all. You can max out your business card the first day you get it, and it won't report to your personal credit at all.
That's right. This isn't technically a loan of sorts. It's a credit card.
Yep, it's a credit card, and the utilization does not report to your personal credit.
I see. All right. So in effect, you're taking out $100,000. You're taking out a credit card with $100,000 limit, and you're spending 20 of it right off the bat in a fee. So you have a $20,000 balance that you're making payments on, right?
Yep,
It's 0% for the first 12 months, but you are making payments on that to
yep,
get going.
1% of
Right.
the outstanding balance.
And so then the other 80 is still sitting on the
Hmm.
card to be used when you want to use it for what you want to use it for, so on and so forth.
Yep, exactly,
I see. I see. That's
exactly.
right. Yeah, well, I know we talked about this before, but even then, some of the particulars were still a little
Mm.
fuzzy, So I wanted to
Yep,
make
yep,
sure that we
absolutely.
gave as clear a picture as possible on the
Sure.
podcast. So,
Yep. And actually, for a little bit of further clarification, we utilize a process called credit stacking. So it's not one credit card with $100,000 limit. It's maybe five credit cards with $20,000 limits each. Maybe two with $25,000 and one with 50,000. I don't know of any credit cards right now that actually give a $100,000 limit, but we go for multiple credit cards from multiple different banks in order to accomplish that.
interesting. Okay, so it's not even all on one credit card.
Correct.
Wow. Okay, then how do you spread out the fee?
So usually we can at least one of the cards that we'll get for the clients is at least 20,000, and that's the one. We usually tell them use the whatever your highest limit card is. That's what you use to pay us because a lot of our cards, especially through Chase, are have a limit of between 50 to 75,000. So you could pay us with that card and not even max your max one card out.
Okay, all right. Um, so let me take a step back here because, while people are listening to this and they're considering, hey, maybe I want to grow my business, maybe this is a good avenue to pursue. Um, you were scammed twice. What are some of the things that, the guys who have small businesses out there who might want your services? What are some of the things that they should be really, really careful about in terms of, identifying something as a scam? And what's a red flag to stay away from if they're looking at, alternative financing?
So as far if they're looking for a company like ours, if they don't want to use our services, the some of the biggest red flags I would say are, n- I'm gonna sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not. Look for no upfront fees, but at the same time, also look for a very, very, very low back end fee. Because if someone's saying that they can get you, however much, nothing up front, but 5 grand or something like that, or even like 2,000, 2,500, something really low on the back end, that's a red flag because some of them will apply for these credit cards and then they will tell you Oh yeah, I just got an email from from the bank. You got a $25,000 card. Here's your invoice. Pay us now. When in reality, they didn't get anyone jack. They didn't get them anything. So that's a big red flag. And if it sounds too good to be true, it is. I mean, ours does kind of sound a little too good to be true, but that $20,000 fee kind of can set, some people, can put a bad taste in their mouth. Um, and then as far as real estate, those are the where a lot of the red flags are really, 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 really prominent. Um, those really low interest rates, look out for that. Anything if they're asking for anything up front, do not this is the biggest thing that got me scammed. Do not pay them directly. Always use like an escrow account or a title company, something like that. Use a mutual account. Never ever pay a lender directly. That was the problem that I had because I didn't know about escrow accounts at the time.
Hmm.
So look for that. And then there's a lot of them will use a form of bait and switch. So they'll tell you like, 1,500 up front and then, you're good to go. So you pay the 1,500 and then they come back with, "Oh no, there's actually like this insurance fee of, $2,000. If you pay that, we're good to go." And then you pay that. Oh, by the way, there's also if something happens to you, then there's this fee. It's 25% of whatever you're asking for. They just keep peppering you with all this extra stuff that they never disclosed it to begin with. That's a form of the bait and switch that a lot of them will use. That's a huge red flag.
I
And
see.
not to not to be non-PC, but both of the people I talked to, both of my scammers, their English was terrible. It sounds bad, but any legitimate money lender, especially hard money in real estate, but any legitimate money lender is going to at least have an assistant or someone who that corresponds to the clients that has good English skills.
Hmm.
So that's another huge red flag.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, it seems like every time you get on the phone, you run into that
Oh yeah, all the
with
time.
anybody in any company,
Yeah.
So, all right, all right. Any other red flags to watch out for? I mean, I know it happened to you twice, so.
Um, just do your due diligence. If you can't find them, no matter how hard you search, they're not there. Always, always, always try to get them on the phone, and if possible, get them on, a video call.
Hmm.
99, I'd say 99.9% of them will not do a video call, and the ones that do will keep the camera off. So request a video call with camera on, and that that'll help you weed out 99% of any potential scammers.
Sure. That's good advice too, right there. Okay. Wow. Okay. The way that it sounds as though this is tailored more for folks who can't go straight to a bank and get a loan themselves.
Yeah, basically, because business loans are much, much different than business credit cards.
Hmm.
9 times out of 10, unless you have a history with the bank, if you go for an actual business loan, the requirements are much, much more strict than business credit cards are. Because business credit cards are no documentation at all. There's no income verification. They don't. It's based on projected revenue for your business. Stated income is what it's called. But business loans, they're going to ask for personal tax returns. They're going to ask for profit and loss. They're going to ask for all kinds of income verification. Most of the time, you're going to have to be in business for at least 1 to 2 years before they'll even consider giving you a business loan of even like 5 grand. Um, so it's definitely our way of credit stacking is a great way for new businesses to get that $100,000 because most of them, they already have that bad credit, but they also have that 9 to 5, which, if you state on a business or on a business loan application that you make $200,000 a year, but you're making, 60 at your 9 to 5, you're going to get denied and probably blacklisted from the bank. So yeah. So it's a good way to,
Right.
to get that funding in a short amount of time. I mean, 60 days and, it's 2 months.
Oh, is that how long the closing period takes? I mean, to be able to get these in your hand from when you apply,
Yep.
around
Yep.
60 days?
Yep. The business the card applications depending on the underwriting, that'll take, 7 days max. The longest part of it is the credit repair. That takes probably 30 days itself, maybe more, sometimes 45.
Credit repair. Okay. We haven't talked about that. So that's
Mhm.
the first step
Yep.
to all of this is doing some credit repair with people.
Yep.
And tell everybody how that works and what's kind of required on their end to get that up and running.
So we will need we'll ask for all this information in your onboarding email, your onboarding call, but we'll need all of your personal information. We're going to need your social, your date of birth, your legal full name, your current address. I don't believe we'll need your EIN for that because it's personal. But we'll basically need all your personal information. A phone number, I believe, is what they'll ask for is what our third party credit repair vendor will ask for as well. Um, and I believe that's it. Mainly all your personal information and your social and a either some kind of utility bill or a bank statement to for proof of address. Because when our vendor sends out the dispute letters, um, a lot of times the credit bureaus will send a letter back to them saying that hey, we got this letter disputing this stuff, but we don't think it actually came from you being the client. It's a stall tactic that they use a lot because they're hesitant to drop, whatever negatives they're wanting to dispute. So if the credit repair company has some sort of proof of address and proof of identification, that'll expedite the process as well. And I believe that's all we'll need, and all that gets shipped off to our third party credit repair vendor, and he takes it from there. He'll send us weekly updates on the client's process, and the clients will also be able to check their, Credit Karma, Experian.com, whatever they use to verify that the negatives are coming off. And he averages about 30 to 45 days to get everything knocked off.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, just another aspect of what it is you guys are doing. So,
Hmm. Yep.
very interesting stuff, TJ. I appreciate you coming on and talking about, these services that you offer and that you've put together for entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
As entrepreneurs, we never have an easy time finding
No.
financing,
Nope.
and if you really want to grow and you want to do some things, sometimes you have to pay the price. You got to pay a higher commission or a higher fee or whatever it is.
Mhm.
So, I would say to folks, be sure, about what your goals are and what your future plans are.
Yep.
And don't take this the wrong way, but I do need to just throw out my own disclaimer in that I have not used your service.
Right.
You and I were
Sure.
talking about, getting scammed and, having you come on the show. Um, yeah, I encourage anybody who wants to look into any opportunities at all to do all their own due diligence. We are not financial advisors here at Power of Man, and we are not endorsing or, you know, um, anything like that with any
Mhm.
company that comes on here, not just you,
Right. Right.
with
Right.
anybody. So, just I don't want anybody to, go through something, have a bad experience, and then decide they want to come back on me for it. So,
Right.
but it sounds like something if they wanted to contact you, can they speak with you directly? Are they speaking with one of your people? Are they speaking with your partner? If somebody wants to find out more about this, how do they go about doing that?
So the most common way is to either find us. We have an Instagram ad and we have a Facebook ad. The Facebook ad is through the company Facebook page, which is under my partner's company. It's called 10th Place Capital. You'll be able to find that on Facebook easily. I can also I can send a link for you to disperse to the audience. I'll put out my business email, which is confidential consulting 29 at Gmail. That will go to me personally, and it's just me and her that are running this business. We don't have any assistants. We don't have any employees yet. We're going to as we grow, but right now it's literally just us two doing all client intake and client outreach. Um, so that email will go directly to me. Um, my personal Facebook page, which is TJ, and then Freeze, but it's spelled like French fries, Fries. That's another avenue. And I think the Instagram ad is under 10th Place Capital as well. So you can search for that. And I believe that's all the avenues that we have currently.
Okay. And you're going to send me those links so I can put them in the show notes and
Yep.
people can get right to you.
Yep.
Now, are you able and or willing to have a conversation with somebody yourself about this program and how it works, and maybe even, jump on a call with somebody?
Oh, absolutely. And we encourage that. We very seldom accept clients without a phone call. I've only had one that I can remember that was only that we onboarded through our business Facebook Messenger, but we actually eventually did get have an email and a phone call with them. But 90% of his process, his onboarding process was done through the Facebook page, but we highly encourage at least a phone call, if not as like a Zoom or some kind or like a Google Meets call as well.
I was just going to ask you that. Are you willing to go on a Zoom call or a Google, type thing
Absolutely.
and show your face,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep. Not trying to be one of those red flags.
Not at all. Not at all. So that's excellent, man. That really is. It's impressive. I mean, to go from getting scammed like that, and to losing and being on the wrong end of this, to turn it around and creating something that can help people who were in the position that you were in. So,
Yep.
you're
Exactly.
becoming the change that you needed back then, and I applaud you for that. So,
Thank you.
good luck with your endeavors. Is there anything, as we kind of sign off here and wrap things up, is there any maybe one last thing you want to leave everybody with, one last thought, or piece of advice, or pitch? I don't know.
Um, the only thing that I can say is no matter how impossible it seems, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. The motto that I go by is dedication breeds success. Dedication/motivation breeds success. If I hadn't have had the drive and the motivation and the dedication to um, try to give my family, the kind of life that I feel like they deserve. If I would, if I would have got scammed that first time and said, hey, you know what, I'm fine, being a firefighter paramedic who can, you know, barely, pay the bills with maybe $2 extra to spend on like, a pop at Speedway. If I was fine living that kind of life, after getting scammed once, I wouldn't be, on this podcast. I wouldn't be on any future ones, and I wouldn't be running the business that I am right now. So dedication, motivation, drive breeds success, and there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I went from being in the hole 15 grand to, a business that's gonna gross. Our projections are around gross 9 million this year. Well, in this first 12 months. So
Great.
always light at the end of the tunnel. Don't stop. Keep going. Drive. Motivation breeds success.
That's awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. TJ, thank you for coming on today, man. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, you have heard another episode of The Power Man. This one's a little bit different. We don't normally get into the nitty-gritty of financing and things like that, but when I talked to this guy, he had a lot of insights, and I wanted you folks to hear it for yourself. If it's the type of thing you think you want to look into, give him a call and give him a holler. Obviously, we're not in endorsing anybody, but it's there. These possibilities are there, and I love the message. I love the message of there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So many of us just kind of figure, oh, I can't do that, or oh, that's not going to work out for me. You know what? Make a call, give it a shot, give somebody a holler, and see if there's something that you might be able to do with your life. And TJ on the video is pointing to himself. Yeah, call me. I love it. I love it, folks. The reason that we bring you this is because we know that every one of us wants to be better tomorrow than we are today. The reason you want to do that is because you do, in fact, have value. You matter. And at some point, you just have to believe it. Until next time.